Minister, thank you for your statement today. I spoke after our recess about how it was the media coverage of the senseless murder of Ashley Murphy that caused so many people to be aware of it, and which started so many national conversations around the treatment and experiences of women in this country. The flip side of this, of course, is that so often the long-term issues, the constant problems, do not make the headlines, and yet these too must be part of the conversation. I do not think that we're experiencing an epidemic of male violence, that there has been a surge in violent gender-based crime. I'm open to be wrong on that front. I simply haven't seen the figures to that effect, but I do know that women do suffer every day in this country. And so much so, it is the suffering that will never make the headlines, for the simple fact that it goes unreported, unseen, unknown. Domestic violence is one of the most horrific experiences that anyone can live through. To have your own home, which should be a place of safety and of peace, become a place of fear and tension, goes against every sense of what is right and just. There will always be more work to be done in combating this crime, and everyone has a role to play. Everyone should know the signs of possible abuse happening to friends or family members, and do not be afraid to contact the Gardaí. For government, funding is the bottom line. We have 9 counties without crisis refuge centres for people fleeing domestic violence, and that needs to be rectified. There was no dedicated line of funding in this year's budget for domestic, sexual and gender-based violence. That must change. Services in this area must be maintained and developed, and not depleted or damaged in any way. I believe there should be a higher income threshold for free legal aid for those who require such aid to assist in cases against abusers. We need to facilitate women's escape from these situations, and many women feel that they do not have the means to do so. But as has been spoken about these past few weeks, incidents of violence like this do not exist in a vacuum. We need to ask the question, what in our society and in our modern culture brings someone to a stage whereby this behaviour is displayed? What are the building blocks that lead to this? And at the end of the day, we can get bogged down in attacking all sorts of facets of Irish society, from male sports to single-sex schools, but I think that's missing the point, because ultimately it comes down to respect and to honour. 2 virtues which I feel have been sorely lacking for some time now in our culture. We can do a lot by instilling a sense of respect, of the inherent dignity of every person in our schools. Respect has to be much more than just a word that is said at school during the day. Respect has to be part of every situation, every day, both in dealing with children and when children are dealing with each other. We cannot learn to give and show respect if we're not taught it, and schools have a huge role to play in this. New programmes which deal with respect should be introduced to our school, first explaining and showing the child what respect is, giving examples to it and pointing out why this is called respect. Programmes have to include strategies for dealing with inappropriate behaviour towards all people, regardless of gender. But all the programmes in the world will be severely limited use if their message are being undermined at home. A child can hear respect in school, but if they don't see it at home, they will never live it out. How do we act in situations of upset, disagreement or dispute? How do we treat people with whom we disagree? Do we interrupt them, shout them down, refuse to listen to another point of view, as happens in this chamber? Or might we choose to honour, to show respect, to engage and perhaps work through our differences to the betterment of all? I don't want to see women of this country merely not being subjected to violence. I want to see them honoured. I want to see them respected. And that's not going to come through legislation, a citizens' assembly or a prime-time investigation. It will come about through the choices that each and every one of us make every day. A public representative who would have gone through the process with regard to violence has raised a number of issues with me and how we might make things better. She wanted to know, is it right that the victim's medical records should be available in a sexual offences or rape trial? Why is it that the victim of rape or sexual assault can have their privacy violated in such a manner, but the offender, on release into the community, has the right to privacy regarding his address? A do not disturb sign on the meeting rooms in our Garda stations if a victim comes forward to make a complaint. These are little things that we can change. The victim should be provided with a copy of their statement. The accused gets to see it, but the victim does not. A clear explanation available to the victim at the Garda station, outlining the process involved. Legal advice should be provided from the outside. We have come a long, long way. We have a long, long way to go to protect women, and hopefully this is the start of it. Thank you.